What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what's really causing all of this crazy price action today, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid's down 5.3%, 1668 the low, 1772 the high, and 4.7 million shares being traded. So today is going to be a little bit higher for the volume, but a lot of it is artificial. So this whole kind of price action that really dragged it down like a rock, most of that did come from algorithmic trading. You did have a few institutions here that did sell, so I'll go over that in a second. But today, interestingly enough, nothing really coming out from Lucid. So they do have their earnings coming up on the 5th after hours. Nothing changed for estimates, no new analyst ratings. Coming from a macro standpoint, that's kind of the primary cause why Lucid's going down today. We did have two sets of manufacturing data points, S&P Global and ISM. So ISM is a little bit more of a broader basket viewpoint, and so that did come in at 48.7, forecast of 49.5. So completely polar opposite to what was being assumed as well. The previous was 49.1. So again, not necessarily the best. We also did have this come out over the weekend, and there was a couple other similar scenarios, but another subprime auto lender stops originating loans, and this did stop in July. And for those of you that kind of listened into Powell, he was very concerned about subprime loans, so more cracking coming from the consumer standpoint. And when I've seen these types of data points come out, such as auto loans being at all-time record highs, I think it was like 52 or 53,000 or whatever else, and a lot of other kind of similar things that could potentially impact Lucid, all of that is coming together to signal that consumers aren't doing that great. And given Lucid's current lineup, I think it's on the high end of the risk spectrum. So if it had, let's say, a lower price vehicle or a mid-size already out, then yeah, it might be faring a little bit better. But the fact that Lucid is down about 5.13%, Rivian down 1.07%, it is very telling that the market sees Lucid as very risky. Even one thing that I've been very open about is that I do feel that there will be a dilution announcement after their earnings. That's just the way Lucid tends to do it. But even the biggest bulls out there, such as 𝗖𝗎𝗓 and a couple of other individuals, assume dilution is coming. So 𝗖𝗎𝗓, for instance, has 229,000 followers. If Lucid finds a way to not bigly dilute, interesting wording there, but then it can be a legit 100x opportunity. I completely disagree with that. I think if they kind of dilute a small amount, that has nothing to do with it really moving higher. Like, that's kind of going hand, like, it's no different than someone saying, hey, you know what, if you do a reverse stock split, institutions are going to buy. It's the same mentality. It's just completely wrong. But in my opinion, I do feel that they will be diluting anywhere from roughly around 1.5 to almost $2 billion. That's probably how much they'll need, which should put them up until pretty much halfway through 2026, transitioning for that midsize to be really starting to be the focus. But again, you have a lot of cracking coming from the consumers, and you have even bulls, bears, everyone and their dog really assuming that Lucid is on the verge of dilution. At the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 52,000 shares, so they're not really the culprit. I know a lot of people, as soon as Lucid goes down, they assume it is shorts. Today, that's not the case. 31.24% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 39.7 million shares overall being shorted. Looking at the options, 848,000 in calls, 755,000 in puts, so kind of low volume. But 61% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you now see a consensus for it to be roughly around $18. And again, they do have their earnings coming out this week. So expectations are just very, very low for Lucid. And yeah, it's rather unfortunate. And as I mentioned in my weekend video, I did even sell some covered calls. And even given that, like, I feel like maybe I need to lower them a little bit more. It's kind of crazy. So expectations for Lucid's earnings is very low. Current expected move, though, is 11.68%, and that works out to be almost a $2 move in either direction. But from a bear's standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of between that 17.50 and 16. So all over the place, but we are seeing somewhat low volume. These are all the transactions occurring so far on the secondary market above $100,000. So you do have two buys. So one for 174,000, other one for 132,000, but everything else for the most part is selling. And this one right here is what really kickstarted the selling. So 1.13 million. So like I said, I think most of the volume today is coming from algorithmic trading, but it still goes to show that institutions aren't really lining up to buy the Lucid dip. 1683 with it right now there. It is trading between this S1 and this S2. So 1532 is going to be that strong support. And then 1716 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So best case scenario, Lucid does close above that today, but still I think today is very telling. And I think that's one thing I really do enjoy analyzing about the broader market. Of course, data is one thing, but the psychology behind investing. You can write many, many books and you can kind of talk for hours what something means. And I feel like a lot of people don't really understand when I bring that aspect up in videos. So like I even said, the fact that Lucid, the difference between Lucid and Rivian, I think the market kind of compares them quite a lot for demand and various other key metrics. But the fact that Lucid is getting hit more than Rivian, it kind of does tell you that it sees it as more risky, even if algos are kind of the primary reason that Lucid is going down. And I think just it's based on Lucid's price point of what they offer. At the same time, Lucid's technicals are looking horrific. So it is very, very overdone right now. Stochastic RSI very oversold, but the curse of that 50-day moving average is really, truly playing out. There hasn't really been all that much in articles. Even today, looking at the market position, you see virtually no one wanting to buy Lucid, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, rather scary because algos can really just cause this damage, for instance, today, and it's not really, nobody's really doing anything about it. So I feel given the circumstances, unless Lucid really does do something phenomenal in their earnings, you're going to see things kind of trend down a little bit more. So let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with Lucid? And for those of you that did join the Patreon, I did recently do a update for Lucid where I do realistically see it as a good buying opportunity for it to have potentially a nice reversal, but kind of spoiler alert, we're not there yet. So I think given the circumstances and potential dilution announcement that might be coming out, I think the market's just very, very fearful. So let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. Are you buying? Are you selling? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.